Call me crazy. Say that I'm insane. Say that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't want Myles Garrett. I don't. Because I know the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, why are you trading for Myles Garrett? Why do we need to trade for him? We got what we got. We're good. I saw some trade scenario that almost made me crash out. It was Myles Garrett for 2 first-round picks and Nolan Smith. Don't piss me off. Don't piss me off. We're not giving up Nolan Smith. I don't care. Because this man has a franchise record, 4.5 sacks, and he's 23. He's 23. Look, Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in the game. Top 3 at worst. We're not trying to salt the man at all. But it's like, if something's working, why are you trying to go ahead and, change it up? What they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's what it is, bro. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And right now it's not broke, and I'm not going to fix it. And if my prediction is correct and the Eagles win this game by 8 to 12 points, no, you better not move off the guy who has a franchise record 4.5 sacks in one postseason, and since the bye week has become a top 10 edge rusher in this game and is 23 years old. We're not doing that. I'm sorry. Now, I'll say this, because it still is intriguing to get Myles Garrett. I'd trade Myles Garrett for 2 first-round picks and Bryce Huff. I'd do that, but I don't think the Browns are going to want to do that. I don't think they want Bryce Huff. I mean, I'd give him Jordan Davis, but I'm not giving Jalen Carter or Nolan Smith. The reason why Myles Garrett to the Eagles looks so amazing off face value is because if you pair Myles Garrett with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, it's, oh my God. Oh my God. That's something there. That is something there. But I'll say, if the Eagles lose the Super Bowl, and part of the reason why they lost the Super Bowl was because they did not get pressure to Patrick Mahomes, all right, we can think about it, but I still wouldn't trade Nolan Smith. I'm sorry. And maybe that's because I have an affinity towards him because of he's just bros with Nakobe Dean and Jalen Carter, but I do think this is something that people aren't talking about enough. Jalen Carter went to the best situation for him. I don't think any situation in football would have been better than the Eagles for Jalen Carter, because he came to a franchise that already had vets that been there and done that with Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. And so they have a certain way that they lead that they will make sure Jalen Carter follows suit. Like, all of that crashing out stuff, no pun intended. Like, I'm not even trying to bid. I'm not even trying to bid, like, because it actually is dead serious. Like, all that crashing out stuff or acting out of character and stuff like that, that's not flying with Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, and obviously BG is here, and it's other vets on offense that, like, look, that's just not flying here. Like, we're a professional organization, we're a championship organization, and we're championship players, and we're going to show you the way. So you had those older vets, but I think the beauty of this Eagles team for Jalen Carter is that not only do they have vets that won a Super Bowl and or been there twice, but they also have all of his dogs at Georgia. Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, guys that he won championships at the collegiate level with. Keely Ringo. Like, so you can't understate the impact a guy in Nolan Smith will have on Jalen Carter as they all grow. So I think if you trade away Nolan Smith for Myles Garrett, part of Jalen Carter that we need to be focused and to be locked in all the way, you're kind of leaving that with Nolan Smith. I'm not saying all the way, but it doesn't help. It don't help. Come on now. It don't help. Let's talk about Nick Sirianni real quick. And I will say this about Nick Sirianni. One of the biggest lessons I learned about myself and doing real talk and doing media was how I can't be reactionary the way that the media is super reactionary. What I mean by that is in September, I was saying fire Nick Sirianni. You can play the tape. I was not a fan of Nick Sirianni at all. I'm looking at that collapse from last year. I'm looking at that slow start. I'm thinking to myself, what does he really do? You know? And I'm thinking to myself, bro, like, we need an offensive coach because, I mean, that's still a kind of an issue because you got all these coordinators going in and out. The reason why we have all these coordinators going in and out, whether it's Shane Steichen or Kellen Moore, etc., is because nobody respects Nick Sirianni's offensive prowess. And so they're going to attribute all the offensive success to a Shane Steichen, to a Kellen Moore. Whether for better or for worse, they're gonna attribute that success to them. And so that's why you're gonna have, as long as this offense is successful in the Nick Sirianni era, you're going to have coordinators coming in and coming out. That's just what it is. Now, with Nick Sirianni, I do got to hold it on the chin and something I got to get better at as I grow. I'm 23 years old, and I feel like this was the first year that every single game I literally had a recap of an Eagles game. Like I did that last year, but it wasn't every single game. And it wasn't every single one. It was big games and it was most of the games, but this was the first year every single game I was doing it. So it's a long way of saying, bro, this season taught me you can't be judging what a coach do in September. And that's on me, bro. And that's completely on me. I should not have been saying, oh, Sirianni this, Sirianni that, he not it. That's totally on me, and I will take that on the chin. Because when I'm looking at what Sirianni is doing with this team and the way that these guys have rallied around him, and you look at guys like C.J. Garner-Johnson, that after the Eagles won the NFC Championship, he is, hugging Nick Sirianni right there. Whether it's Cam Jurgens talking about Sirianni, or whether it's Hurts or A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, it's like whether we like him or not, from the outside looking in, the players in the building, the players on the field, all the staff, they gravitate towards him. So while I will say I was wrong for writing him off early, we're going to give credit. That's one thing I don't like sometimes, y'all. Like, all right, there are times when opinions can change. Like, if you are 2-2, you deserve some criticism. Now, I think I went too far, for sure. But if you go, at this point, what is it, like 16-1 since then? You need some damn credit. You need some credit. So that's something there where it's like, all right, bro, like, yes, he was criticized, but you also have to give credit. Now, this is also me. I want to touch on what Nick Sirianni said, and it was something that I loved. Nick Sirianni's wife, I think, got him locked in into being a Philly coach from rip. He said it, not me. What was he saying? He was basically in an interview in the Super Bowl. I believe it was today, or if y'all see it posted tomorrow, it was yesterday. But essentially, like, it was a preseason game against the Patriots, and it was halftime, and fans were booing. Now, we know how passionate Philly is about their sports, whether it's the Sixers, the Phillies, the Eagles, Union, it don't matter. Philly is so passionate, for better or for worse, for their teams. And I think that's what makes Philly sports culture so amazing. And after the game, he tells his wife, hey, you see, like, they was booing. And his wife was like, well, what did you give them, like, to boo about? Or what did you give them to cheer about? Like, it's on you. And I think that mindset has carried Nick Sirianni to this point right now. Because when he got criticized all earlier this year, and it's like, what are you doing? And fans booing and going back at fans, all this stuff. He knew, as long as I do my job and we win, everybody will follow suit. Everybody will. Because if the Eagles miss the playoffs, Sirianni's gone. If the Eagles were a first-round exit, Sirianni's gone. But he embodies what Philly is and what we represent. Look, bro, all we want you to do is win. And we will praise you. It's guys like Ben Simmons that never got that. They never got that. They try to take it personal and say, oh my God, and now he wants to try to clean it up and be like, I love Philly fans. No, we remember who you were, and you're not fooling me, Turkey. You're not fooling me. But Sirianni has played Philly very, very well in terms of he ain't fold, he ain't falter. He put his head down, rallied the team around him. They start winning some games, and they're back to the bowl 2 out of 3 years. And so I got to give Nick Sirianni credit for embracing Philly, and he is showing to us that he's the perfect coach for Philly. He really is. And if what Jeff Stoutland said is true, that Nick Sirianni essentially made the decision to be like, hey, let's go ahead and see what Mekhi Becton is as a guard. Wow. Maybe we are underestimating his abilities as an offensive coach. Maybe, all right, he ain't no play caller. He ain't no Sean McVay, but he might know a thing or two about offense that, we might be overlooking to a certain extent. So we'll say that right there. I'll talk about Jalen Hurts. And just one thing that's really annoying me, bro. Look, they can't have it both ways with Jalen Hurts. You can't have it both ways with Jalen Hurts. You can't say, well, the Super Bowl means nothing. If he wins MVP, if he wins the game, it does nothing in terms of, where you rank him or essentially just his standing in the league amongst the best quarterbacks. It's so ingenuous, and I can't take it seriously because what I do know is if he has a bad game, you're going to knock him for it. If he has 3 interceptions and loses the game, well, you're going to knock him for it. So you can't then again say, well, if he has 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, and wins MVP, that doesn't change my mind. That's just so disingenuous, bro. And it's getting laughable at this point. It's getting pretty laughable at this point. But I like what Jalen Hurts said when he was asked whether like the doubters fuel him. He was like, that ain't no secret. And I like what Jordan Mailata said when he said Jordan Mailata was basically like, Jalen Hurts is fueled by the haters. We've been saying this all year, all freaking year. And that's why I love when they doubt him, Sometimes I get annoyed because I'm like, why are y'all downing this man? But I think to myself again, I'm like, you know what? Keep downing him. Please. I love it because I don't want to be the underdog. Underdog. I don't want to be the favorite. I do not want to be the favorite. No. I knew that the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl when they were underdogs in this game. If they were favorites, I would have been scared. I would have been legit scared. But the fact that they're underdogs, yeah. I'm telling y'all, Philadelphia sports play their best, whether it's the Phillies, whether it's the Sixers, whether it is the Eagles, or whoever it is. It's something about Philadelphia teams playing that underdog role. And in this Super Bowl, the Eagles are playing that underdog role. And the reason why they're playing it is just because people believe so much in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And that's not a bad take. That's a valid take. I'm not trying to assault it. Like, you're talking about potentially the greatest quarterback of all time and potentially the greatest coach of all time right there. So if I was a betting man, that's, not a crazy bet to make, to bet on history right there and bet on this team to go out there and, be the first team in NFL history to three-peat. But I like to side with who got the best talent. Who has the best defensive line? The Eagles. Who has the best offensive line? The Eagles. Who has the best running back? The Eagles, by a long shot. Better linebackers, the Eagles. Better secondary, the Eagles. Better wide receivers, the Eagles. So I'm looking at the rosters of each of these teams, and I'm saying the Eagles clear. Now, the Chiefs, they got the quarterback. Yes, they got the coach. But let's not sneeze at Vic Fangio. And I saw that stat about how he's 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes. Who were his quarterbacks? I'm just saying, it's only so much you can do defensively if your offense ain't putting up no points. So I'm not really buying that. But the one stat I am buying with Patrick Mahomes is that in game tying or game winning drives in the playoffs, he's 7-0. He's 7-0. Like he always goes ahead and makes that play at the end of the game. And so I think that it is imperative for the Eagles to win comfortably rather than a close game. And I'll end this by saying this I'll end with Vic Fangio, and then before I get to Vic Fangio, I'll say this. I think it's a bigger chance that the Eagles go ahead and essentially beat the Chiefs by 10 points than win in a close game. I think if the Eagles are going to beat the Chiefs, which they will, if the Eagles are going to beat the Chiefs, y'all, it's going to be by 10 points. I'm telling you, it's going to be by 10 points. And that's what it is. Not no nail biter at the end. No, it's got to be 10 points. It's got to be 10 points, bro. It's got to be 10 points and something to where it's like we're not stressing at the end. Because you don't want to be in those situations where you got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in a situation that they know way too well, talking about one-score games. That's not something that the Eagles want to be in, and I feel like their talent will get them to a point to where they have a 10-point lead, and they're going out here and getting it done in those moments. Talk about Vic Fangio real quick to end this episode off. Remember when Vic Fangio was in Miami and, he got fired or let go or they parted ways, whatever the case may be. And it was players coming out from the Dolphins saying, yeah, we ain't like Vic Fangio, all that stuff. That's because y'all ain't want to work. Because Vic Fangio came to Philly after they had Matt Patricia, and that was a nightmare. That was like a scary dream right there. I mean, that's a guy that he ain't no head coach, and he for damn sure ain't no coordinator. He ain't none of those things. He's a Bill Belichick merchant. I can go on and on and on about that man, Matt Patricia. But they had a situation, the Eagles, they went from Matt Patricia to Vic Fangio. And Vic Fangio came into the Eagles facility and told the defense, we're about to have y'all work. He said it's not y'all fault that y'all don't work hard. That's a bar. That's a bar. He said, yo, we gonna change that though. We gonna change that though. That was that Tim McMahon's article. It was a beautiful article. If I was you, I would go ahead and read that if you did not. But what Vic Fangio has done for this defense can't be understated in the slightest bit. And here's one stat that I love. The Eagles EPA per play. The Eagles EPA per play with getting pressure versus not getting pressure is the reason why their defense is much better than the 2022 defense. Because the 2022 defense, they depended on getting pressure from that defensive line. They were top heavy. They were literally a great defensive line, but if the defensive line wasn't getting pressure, essentially that defense got exposed. You're talking about a team that was ranked 24th in EPA per play defensively when they didn't get pressure at the rate that they usually got it at. You know, they had 70-something sacks. But then with this defense, they are actually ranked number 1 in EPA per play defensively when they don't get pressure. So what that tells me is their linebackers are legit. With Zach Barr and Oren Burks going out here and, you know, putting in work. And obviously Nakobe Dean earlier this season was sensational. And the secondary, Quinyon Mitchell, really should be the defensive rookie of the year. At worst, he'll be 2. He's been sensational. Cooper DeJean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, and of course, Darius Slay, who isn't who he used to be, but he's a damn good player now. Very, very good player now. And so this defense, top to bottom, is more balanced, is more well-rounded, and you have to credit Vic Fangio. What did he say again? It's not your fault. You don't work hard. That is a bar. Oh my God, I love that. I love my man Vic Fangio, bruh. Love my man Vic Fangio. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Share with a friend and share with a friend. What's all good, MJ? Y'all know we always keep it real. New Orleans in a couple of days. I'm out.